not going to be able to hear you for this, but I don't know. Sometimes I find strange things in my, I hope I don't just shatter a lot of children's dreams right now. So there you go. There's no glue, so it's not gonna, there we go.
This is the best moment of my entire life. I peaked, so we can just call it a wrap now. So I want to go back in time. Take me to the very beginning of the Big Comfy Couch.
The audition process was a bit strange because I was already working on Mr. Dressup. And I think it was about 15 or 16 at the time. And Cheryl Wagner, who's the creator for Big Comfy Couch, she was working on Mr. Dressup with me in that episode. She's a puppeteer. I had to read a story during that episode of Mr. Dressup. And that's when Cheryl just sort of went, oh, and she was just suddenly picturing me in like a, you know, the overalls and the hair, whatever we're gonna end up doing with it, and with the clown nose. And she was like, yes, and looking at my hands and looking at all these various things. And I was like, okay. And we did, just to make sure everybody, when the broadcaster came on board, they were like, well, we need to know that she's the right one for this. So we did do a small audition process with a really interesting array of young, very talented actresses who all brought something very unique to the character. And there are a lot of things that I think I probably picked up on during that workshop session from other people. But in the end, I think it was my experience from Mr. Dressup that really sealed the deal. And that was that.
I have to bring up the clock stretch because I think that is the greatest skill anyone could have in life. Did you train for that? Was that a natural skill set? I have a lot of clock stretch questions for you.
Okay. So I was a dance major.
Okay.
In grade 4 to grade 8, dance major. So yes, dancing and flexibility. I also took judo as a kid. So both sides are really good for building strength and flexibility. You put your leg over your head and, you know, gravity's gonna help pull your foot down a little bit. Everything is squashed onto a two-dimensional plane. So it probably looks way more impressive than it actually is. We shot a few and they would reuse them. And I think the most uncomfortable part was that we were doing it on a cement floor. So it looks like a nice, soft, fluffy rug.
Yes.
But it's cement.
And it's painted on the cement. It's not actually a rug at all.
And Mingo, she could make anything look like any surface. It wasn't the comfiest, ironically.
Speaking of, was the couch actually comfy and was it big?
Yes and yes. It was, the first couch that we had was very well broken in because it was the one right from when we made the demo, and then it lived at Cheryl's house throughout the year. So I think a lot of teenage parties happened on that couch. So it was very well broken in.
Would you ever consider a reboot? Do you think it would work today for kids?
I think the show absolutely would work today for kids. I think, you know, there's been a lot of talk of reboots. I think you could even expand it. What I'd love to see is to introduce a new character who kind of takes over the couch. I could certainly still be Loonette, but you know, Loonette has grown.
Right.
And that way you could have consistency with the old episodes into the new ones. And then a new young character, I think, would be a lovely thing to see. A new, very childlike character where you're not trying to duplicate what somebody did before, mimic, or people get upset because it's not the same, but it's the same character. That gets messy.
Why do you think there's like this enduring love for these kids shows?
So Comfy Couch was really special in that live action, and the majority of kids shows these days are not live action. So it's interesting how I think the pacing, the original music, the fact that you had really funny people writing the show and in charge of the show. So there's stuff in there for every age level. They really made sure to put in things that parents would appreciate as well as kids without crossing a line, you know? So I think it stands up because they were just very, very careful and thorough in making the show. So a show like that can absolutely exist today. Blue's Clues is another great example of how the pacing was just, they're still 22-minute long episodes. And I could not be happier to be working on this show now, because I get to direct some episodes for Blue's Clues. And Steve Burns is still involved. Donovan, aka Joe, he's involved. And Josh Dela Cruz, who's the new host, is just an absolute delight. So again, that engagement with a real live person, really including the person at home, but not in a super saccharine way. Like, there are funny moments. It's goofy. They allow for the comedy.
You mentioned Steve Burns, and I have to tell you, my favorite thing that I found on the internet is that you and Steve were married. I don't know if you've come across that internet rumor, but I would like to give you the opportunity to dispel that.
He turned me down. He said no to the proposal, so I'm still getting over it. No.